let's go with the whistleblower. There's a lot of whistleblowing going on. Let's talk to a whistleblower first. Let's look at what this guy says, and then who I gotta say he seems to be a strange dude, but you know how I can tell by I'm getting to the point where in doing the show that I start to become abundantly aware of how a host or a news organization feels about the validity of a guest's argument based on how much time they give them. And there's almost like a window. If they don't believe them, they'll actually give them kind of more time so they can argue. If they do believe them, but they just need like a Whitman sampler of stuff, like they know they're good with talking points, they'll give them like 4 minutes. Candace Owens gets this all the time, or did when she would show up on Tucker sometimes, which I bet we will find out. I would almost guarantee this, that we're going to find out that the Fox uppers made Tucker Carlson bring Candace Owens onto his show to prove he was interviewing a black lady. And that's why he only gave her 4 minutes, because he was like, all right, she can say what she needs. I'm not giving her that much of my show. And it seemed like he, wrestled with this, with them. Anyways, also, by the way, welcome to the show. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show, spread it around, let everybody know we're live, as you do. Now, so there's a window, though, of a 6-minute segment where they're like, I think I believe you, but I don't understand what you're saying. And this is, and by the way, anybody who's in front of one of those like wood American flags that you get when you, I guess they sell them on the My Store, the Lindell store, right? So it's just an interesting thing. It's like, it's the next best thing to actually being in front of a gun. You know what I mean? Where you're just like, dude, you're kind of fucking trying too hard. And why the FBI is at a Kinko's, I don't know. Because they're manufacturing evidence, they're copying evidence. We'll see. Anyways, I know some of you though were like, I hope I personally get a chance to crush this guy. Said no one ever. But he's letting you know, FBI whistleblower, I will not let you crush me. Dude, that's what she said. All right. This is, he's on Wake Up America. So they're not even giving him the sweet spot in the evening. He's not getting that sweet Greta Van Susteren, Van Fleet show. But let's see what he has to say. He's not going to say, sorry. And it says on Wednesday, Garrett O'Boyle, joins us with his attorney, Jesse Banal, to discuss his experience in the FBI and shares what happens next for him and his family. Why wouldn't he? Well, maybe he will discuss it, but I would think, when you bring him on to discuss his wrongful termination suit against the FBI, wouldn't that seem to be the thing that you do the thing with the thing, right? Wouldn't you want to tell everybody that you've got a lawsuit against the FBI for firing you without cause? Unless, of course, they did have cause and... On
the new assignment, they suspended me.
They suspended me. They suspended me. Reminds me of the Bill Hicks bit. Mr. Hicks, are you aware of a place called the Show World Adult Video Emporium? Manny, Mr. Hicks, they subpoena me. They subpoena me.
Rendering my family homeless.
Okay, rendering his family homeless, and he tears up about this. Okay. I would like details. We've seen this. Also, for the record, Never a person to question a man's tears. Don't have a problem with that at all. If you're really emoting, I don't give a fuck. Be real in your emotions. However, can we all remember what Greg Kelly, during this, and whatever they say afterwards about him becoming emotional, or even if they ask him, remember what Greg Kelly said about Jan 6 cops on Newsmax, because one or two of them actually teared up going through their attack. Remember that? Right, I know. Fuck Greg Kelly. But this is the network that was like, these aren't real cops. Cops don't cry.
They refused to release our goods, including our clothes, for weeks.
I wish I need to know more of this.
All I wanted to do was serve my country by stopping bad guys and protecting the innocent.
Well, then why didn't you just do the assignment you were on, show that you were capable of either clearing cases that weren't of merit by looking into the area they were asking you to look into, and then they go, hey, this dude can spot a real villain versus bullshit pretty well. Let's move him up. Instead of, I don't know, I like how this bomb maker's talking.
To my chagrin, bad guys have begun running parts of the government, making it difficult to continue to serve this nation and protect the innocent. But I, for one, will never stop trying.
Good morning. Welcome back into Wake Up America.
Thanks very much. I feel like I just woke up from the world's dumbest nightmare.
Testimony coming from FBI whistleblower Garrett O'Boyle last week as he testified under oath about corruption in the FBI.
FBI Special Agent Garrett O'Boyle joins us this morning along with his lawyer, a familiar face in the program.
Hold on. Along with it, why do you have to? All right.
Constitutional law attorney Jesse Banal. Gentlemen, welcome.
There's a plane crash happening behind you. Why is your wall acting out Snoopy versus the Red Baron?
And thank you for joining us. Garrett, I'll start with you. Look, that must have been extremely difficult for you to testify. Very brave.
Yeah, because you're starting to tear up and you're thinking, oh no, Greg Kelly's going to call me a pussy on Newsmax, like he does with law enforcement officers who tear up when they are testifying.
You've come out and you're speaking out against the FBI. What kind of response have you gotten since your testimony last week?
Thank you for having me, and the response has been overwhelming. I did not expect any of this to happen, to be doing interviews like this, but on top of that, this
has been great. I've been a couple of ribbon cuttings at a at a store that sells AR-15s about a block and a half from a preschool. It's been life-changing. I've had people that I was tasked to go after call me and thank me on their way to committing another crime, and it's been emotionally for me. It's a big deal.
People who are still working for the FBI and even retired agents have been.
And my girlfriend in Canada, who's totally hot, and you guys don't deserve her.
Reaching out to me, all of them in support, all of them saying, we saw.
All of them. I have not gotten one single call from anybody that I know that goes, dude, what the fuck? It's interesting. Remember what I said about self-selecting a crowd?
The things that you're talking about, or the ones who are still in the FBI saying, we see the things you're talking about. So it's not just me seeing these things. It's not just the other whistleblowers I testified with. A lot of people inside the agency see it, and hopefully many more will start stepping up and speaking out now.
Yeah, Garrett.
By the way, for the record, he alleges no criminality or corruption. He just disagrees with the prioritization and thinks that what his priorities are as a former cop, basically in a loan out position, insofar as I can tell, where you become a FBI special agent because you're given like temporary, Clarice Starling badges, and you go there at a time when you're like there to help Trump, and then it didn't fucking work, and you're still fucking mad.
We commend you. This was really riveting last week to see this play.
No, it wasn't. Get over yourself. They didn't. do you ever think this motherfucker would talk about like immigrants who are brought in and speak before Congress about what they went through, you know, when they were trying to get their asylum claims heard, and what the you know, physically what they were subject to? This shit.
You said the rot.
Are you? We would like you, if you could you cry right now for us? Could you?
At the headquarters level is all the way to the top. I would estimate that probably
Headquarters level.
20% of the agency, the senior executive staff level, is probably not all of them, you say, but the lion's share has a distorted and twisted view at.
Wait, that's his allegation? Hold on. Say that shit again, dummy. How much in the FBI? How much of the headquarters level of the 100% of the people working at FBI headquarters? How many?
The headquarters level.
I think he means administrative level, but he's a stupid person, so we'll move on.
Is all the way to the top. I would estimate that probably 20% of the agency, the senior executive staff level, is probably not all of them, you say, but the lion's share has a distorted and twisted view at.
Almost all, but not sure how much, of 20% of the administrative level of the FBI is using the wrong priorities in case assignments. Dear God, oh no, it is as if the ghost of J. Edgar Hoover haunts these very hallowed halls. 20 fucking less than 20%? The fuck?
The agency. That was a comment that you made last week. I'd like to bring in you, Jesse, and just how does Garrett get his life back?
Yeah, Garrett, you're his attorney. Spill. In a way, of course, that make sure that you don't violate your oath as an officer of the court or whatever. Yeah.
You know, that's a great question. Let me just.
That's a great question. I think it's fabulous. It has all the makings. I'm sorry, I have to move this over.
Tell you why it's such an honor to represent this man.
No, tell us what his case is. You're not his PR agent. You're there as his lawyer.
He's somebody who his entire adult life has put his life on the line, his freedom on the line, his family on the line for this.
Yes, but for the selective priorities that he believes are important. That is not the why we honor law enforcement. If you see a burning car and your fellow cops and firefighters and first responders are running towards that burning car, and you're sitting back there going, why do we give a shit about that burning car? Look, it's got a Bernie sticker on it. It should burn. Right? Like, if you're avoiding certain duties because politically you think it's not important or you agree with the other side, you don't get to use the blue wall to protect your fucking self. That's the exact problem with this dude and these other guys, is they're like, they put me on Jan 6ers and I thought they had an axe to grind. So I didn't want to sit there and make note of all the times they threatened to kill someone.
Country, first in the military, then as a police officer, then as an FBI agent. And the FBI, unfortunately, has become an organization that is based on fear. And fear is a very powerful emotion.
Fear. The FBI is based on fear. That's what they do. They don't, I mean, at this point, they don't even, they don't even bother to knock. They just, they show a big FBI, like they have a drone come over and just spray paint FBI on your car. So you can go, Jesus Christ, they've been here. And then they just lurk for a while.
They are using fear against Americans, and they're using fear now against their own employees to try to.
No, they're not. You should be afraid of violating your oath. It should concern you. It should cause some worry for you. That if I choose which criminals I am willing to go after, that that the administrators above me might go, fuck's that guy's problem? Hey, oh yeah, that it should worry you.
Get them to stop from coming forward and speaking out. And that can be contagious.
No, they can speak out all they want. They can't lie. That's always an issue, especially in this dude's case.
But what is more contagious, I think, is courage. And the courage of Garrett O'Boyle coming forward and saying, I'm not going to let you crush me. I'm not going to let you keep me down is something that is, I think, going to have a huge, huge impact on this country. And Garrett is.
Yeah, no. You're also, now this guy has transformed into his book agent. So this is the idea. Get Garrett O'Boyle an audience and make him a cause celeb within the Republican MAGA crowd, and then he gets a book deal, and the lawyer negotiates the book deal along with his other stuff, and then he gets to go on the circuit, and then his lawyer negotiates the contracts for his appearances alongside fucking Kyle Rittenhouse and Tucker Carlson's former head writer.
Going to be known as one of the heroes that by coming.
Did I disconnect again? Did I go offline? My back?
Forward has really saved our country, because I believe we're going to win this battle against the politicalization of government in the long run. And so that legacy for him, I think, is going to be powerful. And the support that he's been getting from the American people, I think, is he'd probably tell you it helps power him through this right now. So I'm very optimistic about the future.
Okay, Garrett, just quick response to that. Have you heard from the FBI since your testimony?
Just briefly, the day after. The week prior to the testimony, they emailed me, and I don't find that coincidental, and they wanted to schedule an interview for the day after my testimony. Jesse and his team and we decided to reschedule that because we thought they were trying to trip me up somehow, and I think that is the case. And so the day after, they emailed me to try to schedule a date to interview with them, and other than that, haven't really heard from them much.
So they still got your stuff? They're still, what are they doing? They're just standing in front of it like an ex-girlfriend and with a squirting lighter fluid on it and holding a match? We are, when we talk about percentages, we are, what do you think, 70% of the way through this fucking clip with this guy and his lawyer. Where's his shit? Where was it? Where is his attorney saying, the FBI illegally withheld my client's belongings. This is the receipt for that they paid for the shipping container. This is that they would not allow that shipping container to be released to my client. He didn't do it. He never brought any of that shit up when he spoke in front of Congress, which I think would be the perfect goddamn time. Right? And he certainly hasn't done it right now. Now, maybe they'll surprise us. Maybe this whistleblower and his attorney will, at this point, hold up one fucking piece of paper that says they promised him once he started, getting there that they would arrange for his move and give him his items, and the FBI kept them at a facility that the FBI has freely, as they do with people who move, which I don't think they do, but let's just make this up for filling the gaps for this bullshit. And that because he lost his security clearance, he couldn't get his shit out of the warehouse and nobody was returning his phone call. Like something that puts some meat on the bone of this horse shit. It bothers me. It is one of the lamest parts of this. Right? Where tell us the story of the shit. How many of us have ever gone through a situation where we had, God knows, back in the 90s during the Sisyphus years, where you had, where I had rent was going to be a little slow on the uptake, and you notice that your neighbor, the landlord locks their door with a special lock unless you pay your rent, and then you can't get in and get your shit or whatever. Like people getting evicted and all that kind of anybody experience any kind of poverty that's been through? Right. Okay. Most of us in those situations, while we would rather not relive those moments, 6 minutes ago it dropped out. I'm sorry. Most of us would rather not relive those, but we sure as fucking could. Right? Think of if you got a job. You were hired by a company. Okay, thank you. let me run you through this. You are working for a company. Doesn't even have to be the federal government, like job. It's a corporation, something where they have different districts, different offices, and that kind of shit. You're living in Kansas City and you work at the, whatever the plant, the garment plant there, and they decide to give you a job in Tennessee. They've opened a new plant there, and they're like, hey, we're transitioning you. You're going to be at a different position over here. We're moving you that way. Okay. And you agree to it because it's that or lose your job or what have you. And you pack your shit up and you sign up your kids up for a new school and you go through all this shit. And then you arrive and Garmin has hidden all of your shit in the basement of the building. And that you show up there and go, hey, we're here to pick up our stuff. And they go, you're fired and we're keeping your stuff. Like, you would be on the local news in fucking Knoxville or wherever you are that fucking night. You would have a police report filed and go, hi, I got transferred to a job and they fired me, but they still have all my shit. And here's my bill of lading for the stuff. This is the movers. They picked our stuff up on Wednesday the 8th. It is these things. They dropped it off at this location yesterday. Like all the fucking paperwork you have as a human being. And this guy's a fucking FBI agent. So the idea that he couldn't fucking find minor details like he doesn't have do you have a moving, you have the form that shows they moved your shit? None of that. So, you would be able to tell me everything about the guard, the color of the door, the roll-up door at the place where they're keeping your shit. You would be able to go, we moved, like, you'd roll out all these deals. We had to get, they had us in this house and we weren't allowed to use it, so we went to this Airbnb and I found one that was, a buddy of mine booked it for us because we didn't have any money and they were like, it was all this kind of issue. And so we went and we stayed in this Airbnb for like a week trying to get our shit out. And we're like getting groceries down the street and I'm running into people that I would have worked with. But you'd have so much fucking story and so many goddamn details. And then after all that, you've told this story to everybody you know because holy shit, it was the craziest thing that ever happened to you. You got to transfer to another, your company or your job tried to keep your shit, all of your personal belongings. Your children did not have coats, right? You know all that stuff, and then you show it. You get asked to testify in front of Congress, and you bring none of it. You don't go, and even your congressional supporters don't go, I'd like to put into evidence the bill of, the form he got from the movers that he signed. That's your signature? Sure, yes, it is. And these are your items that were thinking how many boxes you had? Yes, I was. But, okay. We have seen none of that shit. It's not surprising that we didn't see it in this video. But it's amazing that we didn't see it. I want to make sure that it's not jamming up every time I go to one particular scene, which is possible. So I'm side-eyeing my drop frames thing. So, it's not surprising it's in this 6-minute thing, even with his attorney. Although if my attorney was there and he didn't do that shit, I'd be on fire. On fire! I would lose my fucking mind. I'd go, dude, I don't need a PR agent. Show them the fucking forms. Get my shit back. And then we're going to sue them for all my stuff. Damages, emotional distress, fucking all that stuff. I don't know. It's crazy. I must have an exaggerated idea of the functionality of people who get hired as FBI agents and attorneys that would represent them, that they would actually have a baseline kitchen table skill set
At all in the last 8 months.
Yeah, Jesse, Democrats are suggesting your client was not truthful about his legal counsel findings. He's now facing questions over whether he lied under oath about receiving financial aid from an ally of Donald Trump. Your response to that?
That's absolutely disgusting. The Guardian is proving that they are just a mouthpiece of the left.
Okay, Republican witness faces questions over whether he lied under oath to key panel. That's just true, motherfucker. They're not defaming him. They're not even taking a side. That is as balanced a headline about this is informing you. Okay, Republican witness faces questions over whether he lied under oath to key panel. That's materially true. Unlike your charges against the FBI, of which I have seen zero fucking evidence.
Nobody is paying Garrett's legal fees because we are.
Well, because you're nobody's paying his legal fees. They're paying Garrett, and then Garrett's paying his own legal fees, right?
Very proud to represent him pro bono. Any suggestions to the contrary is absolutely wrong.
Okay, so they're just going after the maggot dollar, or you represent. Okay, so hold on. Jesse Banal is. Give me 1 second. Let's see. Oops. There we go. Let's see. This would be, ladies and gentlemen, Jesse Banal. Is a partner at Harvey and Banal PLLC, where he specializes in appellate litigation, civil litigation, business and nonprofit law, election law, international disputes, parliamentary law and procedure, virtual currencies. Wow, update this shit, man. Virtual currencies. You know what? Considering as a lawyer, that it wouldn't shock me that he means, not just crypto, but if you try to pay a hooker with chickens, we got your back. It's not quite legal tender, but it is legally very tender and juicy and batter fried. All right. And white collar defense. I'm guessing that's the big part of it. He also works as a parliamentary procedure expert for Donald Trump's 2016 presidential campaign and was a key witness in Correll versus Herring, a case involving the binding of delegates in Virginia. So this asshole has a ton of backing in Republic world, and so he's not getting paid outright by this guy, and he's operating pro bono on behalf of MAGA Incorporated because it's a PR attack on the FBI. Donald Trump wants the FBI attacked, and his super PACs or whomever can pay this fucking guy, like, thanks for doing God's work, and then this ends up being the case he selects. Like, fuck off.
There's nobody I've met in my life that's more truthful and more honest than Garrett O'Boyle. Yeah. And the left.
Yeah, but you hang out with Donald Trump. That's not saying much, asshat.
Has no choice but to try to attack his character, and it's gone.
I have not attacked his character. Well, maybe his. No, it's still not a character thing. It's just his follow through on certain things. I guess his material ability to sift through paperwork or some shit. But I'm not attacking his character. This sounds like bullshit. I'm not calling him a bullshitter. I'm saying this is bullshit. And you know how I can tell? Because you aren't holding up any of the receipts that his items were taken and held by the FBI for weeks, and like, here's Cash Patel's money, and here's how he bought a coat at Kohl's using Kohl's cash that was gifted to him by a stranger and said you can only use it during this 1 week from the 22nd to the 28th, but it's there. Can we have any fucking details? It is such an enormous goddamn story.
Sad to see Democrats try to malign Mr. O'Boyle's reputation. Garrett.
He has no reputation, dummy. He has a presumption of heroism because he's been a soldier and a police officer and an FBI agent. And like others who have hidden behind that presumption and not lived up to it, the most extreme case I suppose I could give you is the Fort Hood shooter and Timothy McVeigh. Both of them, up until the moment that they killed a bunch of people, were getting thank you for your service from the people around them.
Just a quick final one here. So you're saying this is
Obviously weeks before. You get what I'm saying.
this is a bigger problem than just a few bad apples at the FBI. This is institutional rot at the Bureau.
That's correct. It is. I don't think anyone who has
Institutional rot, which is apparently, according to him, less than 20% of the administrative level of the administrative state at FBI has the wrong priorities and is going after Jan 6ers. Fucking hell.
seen, taking a peek behind the curtain, can really say anything to the contrary. We see it all throughout the agency. We call them blue flamers. It's the type of person who they don't care about your constitutional rights. They don't care about doing the true mission of the FBI. They care about promoting. They care about the.
Okay, first of all, that's not what a blue flamer is. As we all watched in Mindhunter, which is one of the parts they took from the book, I believe, is that Holden Ford is a blue flamer. He's so pure of thought and so pure of mission that he's got a big blue flame shooting out of his ass. That he's so like single-minded on justice that he can't see any of the ancillary aspects of stuff. It's not a fucking blue flamer. Dude, Can we have a rundown of this guy's time? Because again, a lot of this doesn't add up. It's very weird. And it's simple. What makes me feel like this is just hinky and lame is that they're not offering, like, he joined on this date, he did this for this, he was assigned to this thing, and then they asked him to do this and he said yes, and then he refused to do it, so they took him off and they gave him and then he started speaking to the press or leaking information, and so he got pulled from being an FBI agent on, a cop on loan to be this just seems like bullshit. And there's so little detail considering the grandiosity of his fucking allegations. Dude, you are saying that the FBI stole from you. Stole your family's, all of your family's belongings. We're not talking about a situation where they made me turn in my badge of my gun because I was a rogue cop and I left the building. I was like, oh fuck, that's my gun. That's not my. They didn't issue me one. I returned my issued one. Because I carry a different one. That was my. Can I have my gun back? No. Why? Well, because you turned it in. But I didn't mean to. Can I have it back? No. Now you got to file a form. What? Yeah, you got to file a form. How come? Because we can't have people who no longer work here dropping guns on the. Hold on one second. The internet's being a bit wonky. Am I fine? Hold on one second. Just checking. I was just checking to see if there's an internet problem in the rest of the house, but something's funky. We'll live through it. We'll be all right. Okay. Where was I? Oh, yes. This guy making up stories and having absolutely no evidence to hold up in the simplest of fucking ways. I find it aggravating. I find it stupid. I find it boorish and dumb. What I don't find it is outrageous. I don't. He might, but I don't, because I stand by what I said.
Prestige that comes with it, and the hit to their ego that they get as they move throughout the ranks, and the headquarters and.
That sounds like what you are. Hold on. Listen to this shit again. Hold on. Blue Flamers, talk to
your constitutional rights. They don't care about.
Hold on.
We see it all throughout the agency. We call them blue flamers. It's the type of person who they don't care about your constitutional rights. They don't care about doing the true mission of the FBI. They care about promoting. They care about the prestige that comes with it, and the hit to their ego that they get as they move throughout the ranks.
The hit to their ego that they get as they move throughout the ranks. A hit to your ego is a downgrade. A boost to their ego is what it means, maybe.
And the headquarters.
Yes, all these fucking. Look at this guy. Taking selfies with a fire hydrant with his FBI gear on, being all FBI with his shaved head and his total lack of beard.
And senior executive staff level, by and large.
Yeah, here they are at a crime scene. Obviously doing some fucking work. Look at the egomaniacs. And of course, one of them's seemingly a woman, and there's a black one as well. See what I mean?
To go.
Okay.
We've risked a lot. Thank you.
What? What has he risked? What has he risked? Where's the shit? Where is? Did he ever get his shit back? Where was it the whole time? Any of those details will be fine. One single detail. Where the fuck did they keep your shit? What are you talking about? It is. I find this so annoyingly absurd.
Absolutely.
For doing that.
We'd love to have you back, Garrett.
Yeah, of course you would. Let's see. Maybe we can find out. How long was Garrett O'Boyle? Whoops. Wait, why does that say in jail? Okay, that obviously, hold on one second. Black, okay, hold on. In the FBI. The four-year employee further said his life was upended and family left homeless after being placed on unpaid suspension. And here's the article from the. Let me find this. Okay, here you go. So this is the Guardian article that they're referring to. Get out of here. Get out of here, you British thing and thingy. Okay, Republican witness faces questions over whether he lied under oath to key panel. Democrats suggest ex-FBI agent turned purported whistleblower was not fully truthful about legal counsel funding. A key Republican witness facing question. Okay, Garrett O'Boyle, former FBI field agent turned purported whistleblower. I like that they use purported. That's funny as opposed to alleged. Purported. So it's a fun word to say. Purported. I'm going to use it more often. What Republicans assert is the weaponization of the federal government. At one point, O'Boyle was asked by Democrat Dan Goldman whether Kash Patel, who held multiple roles in the Trump administration, is helping finance O'Boyle's legal counsel. The witness replied, "Not that I'm aware of." The answer raised eyebrows because during a previous interview with the House Representatives Weaponization Subcommittee in February, O'Boyle disclosed that his legal fees are being paid by a nonprofit organization called Fight with Cash, also known as the Cash Foundation and run by Kash Patel. Furthermore, a Democratic staff report published in March notes that Patel arranged for Jesse Banal, who served as Trump's top election fraud lawyer in 2020, to serve as counsel for O'Boyle. Banal sits on the Cash Foundation's board of directors and is, so he's getting paid through the fucking foundation to provide the pro bono work. And meanwhile, Kash Patel is paying his bills directly and then providing him with counsel. Get this shit out of here. Are you on salary with the people who are paying? The question I think Goldman and those folks would ask of that attorney is, are you on salary with the company that is paying his bills? So Kash Patel is paying for his rent and food and other stuff, right? And are you a salaried employee, a paid employee of that guy's foundation or his group? Yeah. Goldman told the Guardian Mr. O'Boyle's answers in the subcommittee hearing on Thursday appear to contradict his previous testimony. He accused the previously noted the witness on Thursday included anti-vaxxers, election deniers, and supporters of far-right groups, right? Blah, blah, blah. Stacey Plaskett, who's amazing and really fun to watch because she just, again, I think she's terrific as the representative the delegate from the Virgin Islands, but I think she'd be the fantastic mayor of Zero Fucks Town. Kyle Herrig, executive director of the Congressional Integrity Project, said Mr. O'Boyle's testimony in this week's hearing should be investigated immediately by Chairman Jordan's subcommittee. The fact that O'Boyle's own lawyer has such deep ties to Kash Patel, a Jan 6 co-conspirator and close ally of Donald Trump, is already enough to call any of his testimony into question. Jordan ran interference during that whole thing. That's not surprising. So, again, not odd at all. Meanwhile, let's hear you go. FBI says GOP whistleblowers interfered with and refused to participate in Jan 6 investigations. This is why he got suspended. Okay. Two FBI agents, Republicans have championed as whistleblowers, interfered with. It's one thing to just say, I'm not going to do it. Interfered is a big deal. With a refusal to participate in investigations related to Jan 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol, the FBI told lawmakers this week. At a hearing on Thursday, Republicans led by Jim Jordan alleged the agents were victims of a broader weaponization. If you're one of the good employees of our government to talk about the targeting, you become a target, you face retaliation. Who gives a shit? He's just PRing for them, too. Chris Dunham, FBI assistant director, told Jordan in a letter that one of the former agents, Marcus Allen, a staff operations specialist suspended from his job at the FBI's field office in Charlotte, North Carolina, tried to convince his FBI colleagues that the Capitol riot had been orchestrated by the government. Yeah, dude, can you get back on the job and stop watching fucking Alex Jones shit all the time? What? I'm sorry, how do I spell Jade Helm? Is there an E on Helm? All right. All right. Allen also allegedly conducted a shoddy investigation into a Jan 6 suspect, prompting the FBI to close the case, only for another agent to turn up publicly available evidence incriminating the suspect. So he was running interference. That would be it. So fucking hell. Investigative activity established that the suspect physically assaulted U.S. Capitol police officers on January 6, 2021. And Allen tried to undermine that investigation into the assault of a police officer. I was retaliated against because I forwarded information to my superiors and others to question the official narrative of the events of January 6th. No, doesn't seem so. Seems like you tried to fuck up the investigation so the person could get off scot-free. And yet somebody else looked on fucking Facebook and there's a video of this dickhead going, "Watch, I'm punching a cop for America." Right. Another witness, former Jacksonville, Florida FBI Special Agent Stephen Friend, has admitted that he refused to participate in any cases related to January 6th. Okay, fuck you, bye. Partly because he thought some suspects were innocent and that they would face unfair jury pools in Washington, D.C. Why? What didn't? By the way, aren't Republicans the ones who just, did everything they could to harpoon D.C. local juries and jurisprudence within the district to let people who've been convicted of violent crimes get lighter fucking sentences? Hey, all right. Sorry, of course you're going to get suspended if you refuse to participate in any cases related to January 6th. That's pretty fucking broad, dude. That's thousands of cases, including people who traveled across state lines with the intent of murdering members of Congress, attempted to do it, failed, and fucked off and said, "I'll try again if they give me half a chance." And you're like, nah, I'm not even gonna look that dude up in the phone book. Not long after telling his supervisors he wouldn't help with the riot cases, Dunham wrote, Friend, quote, entered FBI space and downloaded documents from FBI computer systems to an unauthorized removable flash drive and publicly released sensitive FBI information on his personal social media accounts without authorization. Right. You gotta love selective leaking. My whistleblowing was apolitical and in the spirit of upholding my oath, Friend said at the hearing. Yeah, you're refusing to look at any of the cases on January 6th because you were afraid they wouldn't get a fair trial, thereby guaranteeing they couldn't get a fair trial. Because one of the things investigators do is they discover evidence and exculpatory evidence. They clear suspects as well. And if, I don't know, call me fucking crazy, but let's just say you're sympathetic to somebody and you think they're being railroaded, and you're on the case, and you think everybody else there is going to look at a way to just railroad this person, and you're sitting there going, "Oh, look, they didn't do it. They're hiding this." That would be a whistleblowing moment. That would actually be it. That ain't what happened. You just refuse to do your fucking job. Let's see. Under question, Daniel Goldman. Garrett O'Boyle acknowledged receiving payments from Cash Patel. Okay, Jordan dismissed it. Blah, blah, blah. Trump made false claims about voter fraud. After hearing the witness, shook hands with Mickey Whithoft, mother of slain Capitol writer Ashley Babbitt, whom Trump has described as a martyr. Whithoft has been a constant present in House hearings and even met with Kevin McCarthy. Near the start of the hearing, Rep. Loretta Sanchez summed it up as a vehicle to legitimize the events of January 6th. Yeah, I would agree. Now, it doesn't say, again, whether he went through Quantico and, he just got recruited for temp duty, essentially, with the FBI, and they just kept re-upping it. Who was president during that time when they would grab, sympathetic to Jan 6 law enforcement guys and try to put them in the FBI? Who was president during that period? I'm gonna have to look that up too. There's a bunch of this may have lied under oath, blah, blah, is coming up. Weaponization, Casey Manson. And this is weird too. Okay, so this is a Facebook account. I don't know. Hold on one second. Right. The Casey Manson sentenced to 45 years for conspiracy to commit armed robberies at local businesses, and then Garrett O'Boyle is named in this one. I don't know why. Hold on one second. Store employee fatally shot and beaten in 10th armed robbery. Kansas City man sentenced to federal court for his role in a conspiracy to commit 9 armed robberies at local business. An armed robbery in which a convenience store employee was beaten and then fatally shot. Joe Lee Nichols, 30, was sentenced to pleaded guilty to one charge. Nichols admitted to being. I don't know why. Yeah. For some reason, this was related. His name showed up in this. Give me a second. It's just basically a story of a dude who was committed multiple robberies and then fucked around and found out. Okay. This is so this is the try this and trying to find this is the here's what the GOP's report on this says, and understand this is in the public record. This is to some degree, there's got to be a legal tap dance around this to shoehorn these fucking words in. Special Agent O'Boyle made protected disclosures to his supervisory special agent about potentially illegal activity, and the FBI transferred him to a new unit that required him to move his family across country. When O'Boyle arrived for his first day, the FBI placed him on unpaid indefinite suspension, effectively rendering his family homeless, and leaving them without any personal effects, including his young children's clothing, because these items were in FBI storage. Till when? Likewise, I don't want to hear, I want to, we know Alan and Friend just didn't want to, they were just watching way too many fucking YouTube videos instead of doing their goddamn job. Where's the story? Whistleblowers come through. Okay, so whistleblower disclosures show a series of FBI's cash bonus system creates purpose, reclassifying and manufacturing domestic violent extremism, right? Because they think they shouldn't go after white supremacy, or because they've been watching a lot of Tucker. And Stephen Friend was a Garrett O'Boyle was suspended without pay after moving his family across the country. Okay, page 51. 51. Highway 51. There's 40, 58, somewhere in the middle. There it is. Okay, hold on. Garrett. Where are you? 47? Hold on. That's his testimony. Here we go. Garrett O'Boyle was suspended without pay after moving his young family. Sounds a little creepy, dude. I'm just saying. Like Friend, O'Boyle was subjected to FBI retaliation. In his interview, he testified that the FBI has weaponized that clearance process after expressing his concern up the chain of command, and no action had been taken. Yeah, they don't have to take action just because you think so. You can go, I think this is a problem, and your bosses can go, it's not. Go back to your desk. The fuck? I got news for you. I've seen this happen. And it can get ugly sometimes when an actor's like, I think the camera should be here. And I think we're shooting this all wrong. How do you think that works with the director and the producer, the people who actually may have been in your position or trained for the position above you and are in the middle of fucking doing it when you're like, I think it should be like, yeah, well, you're not going to be in the edit bay, motherfucker, and you don't know what we're tying this to. So why don't you sit the fuck down and hit your mark and bark? Because you're not on the fucking hook. The only thing you got to worry about is your performance. We got to cut this shit together. Oh, did he drop again? 5 minutes ago? I'm back, hopefully. Oh, what's weird. All right. Well, I will, whatever. Buffering. Okay. Okay. They know that if they claim national security, that they, carte blanche, can do whatever they want. Okay. No, they can't. Because they can claim national security, but they have to do it to a judge that has to agree, dumbass. Trump put like 300 fucking judges in there, some of which they had to run this stuff and whatever. And you have to have a security clearance to work in the FBI. Right? So if they find any reason to strip you of that clearance, they'll do it and they'll send you packing, and then there's hardly any recourse for you to take because the FBI investigates itself. No, it doesn't. There's oversight, which is, again, you're in the middle of it. It's not investigating itself. These guys are investigating the FBI, and they're not finding anything. They're just rambling about this. In his transcribed interview, O'Boyle shared his firsthand experience with the weaponization. Okay. He goes, they suspended him right in the middle of his transfer and 2 weeks before his wife gave birth to their fourth child, causing their personal belongings, clothes, toys, furniture, to be stuck in an FBI-controlled storage unit for an extended period of time. Extended period of time. They were effectively homeless, coatless in winter for an extended period. What's extended period? You couldn't say 8 weeks? 10 weeks? All right, we'll see. We're begging and borrowing from family for coats for our kids and warm clothes for our baby. Warm clothes for your baby? Your babies don't wear clothing at that age. You wrap them in blankets and the like, and then you have diapers because they are babies. Okay, because the FBI won't let us have our stuff. Question. And so I just want to make sure that we have everything, kind of the facts straight on this. So you're notified in June that you make the new unit and you're going to be transferred from Kansas to Virginia, correct? Correct. You're notified in June. So then, in order to retrieve your goods, after a month of them being held by the FBI, you had to spend over $10,000 of your own money, correct, to retrieve those things? I would have to do the math, but it's right around 10 grand. And in your opinion, that's a lot of shit. Right. Still, it sounds like you put them in storage and you left them there or something. Okay. In your opinion, do you believe the whole ordeal with recovering your personal goods and having to cover those costs was just another episode of retaliation? I believe it was. I don't give a fuck, motherfucker. Give me a extended period of time. You didn't say an extended amount of money, so apparently you were always going to pay those moving costs? Or you only get your moving costs covered if you don't violate the law between whatever. Okay. All right. So then in order to retrieve your after a month of them being held by the FBI, so an extended period of time we now know is 4 weeks, is a month. ish. Let's talk a bit more about your transfer from Kansas to Virginia. You said you accepted the position in June and then moved. Your first day was September 26th. I think you said, is that, okay. So, accepted the position in June and then you moved. First day was September 26th. He was fired on the first day of his job. So during that time, you sold your house in Kansas, correct? Yes. And then your personal belongings moved or shipped to Virginia at some point. Okay, here we go. Let's take a look at this. I'm excited. So after we closed on our house or I guess right before we closed on our house in Kansas, we had a contract. I mean, they contract through the government to some degree. Came to our house, they packed up our stuff, put it in a truck, and brought it to Virginia, where it was put in storage. And we were supposed to get those belongings delivered to the new house once we closed on it. So I'm trying to think of my dates here. So September 26th, I get suspended. So between September 26th and November 3rd, we're trying to figure out how we can get our stuff. And for the vast majority of that time, from September 26th to November 3rd, yeah, that sounds like a month. Sure. We're trying to figure out how we can get our stuff. And for the vast majority of the time, we essentially got the runaround from the FBI. Why you hadn't moved into you started your job, but you hadn't moved in and your stuff was in store. All right. Maybe there's details. Maybe we'll get there. And for the vast majority of that time, the vast majority of the 26th of September to November 3rd, the vast majority of that 10 days. All right. It's a month. Call it a month. And I think the most, we essentially got the runaround from the FBI and the business they contract with on how to release our goods, on if we can get them shipped or not. And I think I have most of that in an email, but essentially we kept being told, I think I have most of that in an email. Here, I'll tell you what. How about, do you have any of it in an email? We'll see. But essentially, I'm sure there's an addendum, guys. I'm sure at the tail end of this. But essentially, we kept being told, oh, they're going to release your goods. They're not releasing your goods. We can't give you your stuff. And then eventually, it was certain criteria for me to come get it myself. And so typically, all of this is paid for. It's part of the transfer, and you pay like the tax bill on the stuff. But instead, in my case, they said, you can come and get it. You have to inspect all your stuff at the warehouse that it's being stored and then sign off on the paperwork and see ya. So at my own expense again, I rented moving trucks. A friend of mine came with me from Wisconsin. Honestly, I couldn't have done it without him. He was working in the moving industry for many years. And without his expertise, I don't think my brother and I, who also he flew in to help, would have been able to even pick it up correctly because they essentially just pull it all out and say, here's your stuff and make sure it's all there. So we spent the whole day doing that. And yeah, it cost about 10 grand out of my own expenses to handle that. Why? Where's the 10 grand? That's all right. I think the most it's ever cost me to move, and I have a lot of shit, is a little over 3 grand. Good Lord. I mean, he's got a bunch of kids, so maybe they've got, stuff on stuff on stuff on stuff on stuff. But $10,000 because his friends in the moving. All right, again, I'm going to need the emails that refer to how much your shit costs and where it was and how you couldn't get it. And in the month-long 10 days that you allegedly were yelling at people on the phone and they were hanging up on you because you were being an asshole. And they're like, what are you talking about? Everybody pays their own shit. To your friend who's in moving. So your friend who's a mover charged you 10 grand. Okay, in 10 days. It was $1 grand a day. So you did rent a friend, I guess. That doesn't even account for the labor costs that would have been associated with it. Yeah, me and my friend and his friend loading the trucks. You owe us. Okay. And then it's interesting that on the same day is when I was told that my pay was suspended. Again, boo fuckity who. And so over a month, you weren't able to access your personal goods. And can you describe what that includes? Furniture? Oh, excuse me. No. Not a couldn't. According to him, he only was wrestling with it for 10 days. He wasn't even trying to access his shit up to that point. Everything. I mean, it was, other than, I think our daughters had like a backpack with like a toy and some clothes. Then my wife and I had like a backpack of clothes and stuff like that. And we obviously did not anticipate this happening. So when our stuff got packed up in August, we had summer clothes. Wait a minute. They sell their house. He gets a job offer, job move in June. They sell their house in Kansas City, pack up all their shit in August. And he doesn't start till September 26th. And they've got a backpack worth of clothes to get them through the month. And we obviously did not anticipate this happening. So when our stuff got packed up in August, we had summer clothes because we thought, by late September, early October, we'll be here, which the climate is much more moderate than in Wisconsin. So in October in Wisconsin, it's practically winter. And we're just, give me a minute. Take your time. And his attorney talked to him. And so to accommodate this transfer, you put your Kansas City home on the market and sell it, correct? Our Wichita home, your Wichita home. Oh, Wichita. That's where the BTK is from. No relation. All right. When we lived, it is. Remember, he wanted to be called the Wichita Strangler? That was one of his early attempts at branding. During that time, did you look for housing in Virginia? We did. And that's another interesting aspect. So as part of the transfer, you're supposed to get a house hunting trip, 10 days. I didn't know at the time, but I found out later that once you accept orders, essentially your job is to focus on that transfer and work on the transfer. Instead, I was directed by my boss to try and finish up some casework that I had. So I didn't even really get to focus on that transfer like I should have. But I was able to come back to Virginia. I was there like for 9 days or so for training for that new position. So every night after, just about every night after training was over, I would meet with my realtor and we go look at houses. I think in those evenings over that time span, I think I looked at around 30 or 35 houses. Quite the market shopper, I guess, in Virginia near DC. You can afford 30 to 30. I think it was like either the last day of August or the first day of September is the last house I looked at. And I was like, oh, this is the one. Once I get back to Kansas, I talked to my wife about it, showed her pictures and stuff. We put an offer on it. It was accepted. And yeah, we were like, okay, that part's done. Now we have a baby and carry on. But obviously that it didn't work out as planned. And so you packed up all your belongings in August and then the FBI moved those belongings to Virginia. Correct. So now you're in Virginia, your Kansas City or your Wichita house is sold and your belongings are in Virginia. Now the first day of your job in Virginia, you're walked out, correct? So he shows up on, this is the 26th though. His first day was the 26th. It's like a month after all this. So something happened between the house sale and all this shit and his training and him showing up on the 26th. The month that we're talking about where his belongings were missing is the missing time where he was either accusing people of shit or being accused of shit. Did you have to accept those belongings? Okay, correct. Did you have any access to those belongings during that period? I did not. And did you ask the FBI for access to the belongings? We did. We asked if we could come and get them. And because there was really no other way then, that's when it was just back and forth, or then not hearing from them, and then them saying, oh, we're trying to figure out the best way to get you your stuff. And then at one point, we're like, well, can you ship them because we're not living in Virginia now? And then I think at one point they were like, oh, we might be able to do that, but it's going to cost you 17 grand. And we were like, whoa, no, I'm suspended. Like we knew my pay was going to get suspended. It hadn't been suspended yet, but we were like, no, we're not paying you 17 grand for you to send our stuff that you took to Virginia. So then we were able, they agreed to let me go and get it. That still cost, like I said, about 10 grand, but I guess that beats 17. Okay, first of all, receipts, please. As the right wing would like to say, citation needed. And the FBI wouldn't, in the normal course of things, if you're transferred, the FBI pay for those expenses. And then as you say, you're in charge of the tax bill. Is that correct? Correct. Nearly 180 days after his suspension, O'Boyle testified that he had not heard from the FBI regarding the status of his security clearance. Ms. Moore, who signed O'Boyle's notice that his security clearance was suspended, testified that O'Boyle's situation was a mere coincidence. Ms. Moore specifically stated, they asked her, the date on Mr. O'Boyle's letter, that is October 22nd? Yeah. And what day did Mr. O'Boyle execute his actual move? His first day was in September 23rd. And what was the date of the letter? September 23rd. Okay, so that's some big coincidence that it was his first day in Virginia? Absolutely. Pointedly out, however, O'Boyle believes the agency was intentionally weaponized against him. Culture-wise, is there a... Okay, I don't give a shit what his fucking opinion about the stuff is at this point. I would like a receipt. Many other whistleblowers told O'Boyle that they were believed his experience... Okay, I've heard this shit before. Hold on. You and other whistleblowers cases that you're aware of, are there features of such acute cruelty? Not like this. My situation is one that all the other whistleblowers I've talked to are like, I just can't believe. Hey, I'm not a whistleblower, but I had the same reaction. I mean, they're in a similar situation. They're suspended without pay, and they say, I can't believe what has happened to you. Earlier I alluded, I went to Iraq and Afghanistan a year each as an infantryman. I received the combat infantryman badge. I mean, that is awarded to infantrymen who fight the enemy. So I've been shot at. I've had rockets shot at me, IEDs, and it's different. But what I'm going through right now, it's harder than those deployments. When I got home from Afghanistan, I knew I was getting out of the Army. I had 10, 11 months left, and I was like, I just turned 25, and I was like, I'm done. The hardest thing I do in my life, I've done it, and now I can move on. And then this happened, and it's not war, but it's like war, but it's very warlike in what it's done to me mentally and what it's done to me and my family. And I didn't have a family then. I just had my wife, and it's hard to believe. Yeah, in those other suspensions, there doesn't seem to be this purposeful, okay, they're basically coaxing him in. He goes, why do you think the acuity of this cruelty is much higher with you? I wish I knew. I think it probably just goes back to the pervasiveness of how the FBI has deemed they've decided that they're going to do what they want on their agenda, on their terms, that they're the law, and they're not going to have someone internally shining a light on the darkness of the bad things that are that they are doing. And I think they realize, which, by the way, have we seen any of that shit? Has this motherfucker, in his whistleblowing, has he said, this Jan 6er was innocent? I personally saw them doctor footage or avoid exculpatory evidence around these Jan 6ers. No, this motherfucker, they just refused to participate in going after people that bragged about attacking cops. Fucking hell. All right. It's like, yeah. Do you believe they're making an example of you? I don't care what he believes in that regard. Okay. And then they go to Marcus Allen shit. Okay, so we now know, what have we learned? Okay, so the extended period of time was apparently the 10 days after he was fired. That's also a month. And he was back and forth on the phone, and they were like, we'll ship you your shit, but you've been fired. We're not responsible for your moving costs if you get fired for cause. Now, there's a real easy way for him to recover those costs plus. How about a wrongful termination suit against the FBI? Instead of dismantling all of the FBI, just keep it specific. Who was in charge of your move? Who gave you the job? And who do you believe weaponized shit against you and made you lose your shit? Where is his asshole partner? Wouldn't that be the simplest thing? He's got an attorney. It's being paid for by Kash Patel. He had an audience in front of the fucking house. Right? All right. Junun in the chat room. Look, no fair being logical, goddammit. Because they said, where is it? This part right here, which I think, where to go? Hold on, let me roll this down so you can see it. It would be that line right there. I think you're on to something, Junun. Because it's a fucking lie, I think is probably why. I would agree with you. Honest to God, one of the simplest and most slam dunk fucking cases, if this asshole has a shred of documentation about his innocence and the cost, file a wrongful termination suit against the federal government for wages, loss, damage, and I don't know what other recourses you have in that. Knock yourself the fuck out. Go for it. You don't even have to pay for your attorney, asshole. Do it. Don't go fucking crying to Jim Jordan. He can't do anything about it. Jim Jordan cannot, because they're the oversight committee and they have, like Congress has the purse strings, doesn't mean he can write you a fucking check. File a wrongful termination suit against the FBI and show up in fucking court with your emails and your receipts and your fucking phone video of, here's me and my buddies, and here they dropped my shit in a fucking Walmart parking lot and I'm supposed to move it all by myself. Like, knock yourself the fuck out. Go for it. Do it. Today. Or I call bullshit, I think would be the thing. Yeah, so just aggravating. By the way, you're watching House Parks Mega Worldwide. I think that shows taste and breeding on your part, and I greatly appreciate it. You know who doesn't appreciate it? You know who really doesn't appreciate it? Dick Morris. He hates it. Dick Morris doesn't want you to give a thumbs up to the show. Dick Morris doesn't like that you've subscribed to House Parks Mega Worldwide. Look at him. He's mad at you. For to all the people who've become Patreon subscribers, he hates you. Look at his face. You're very disappointing. If you've supported this show in any way, if you use the Cash App or the Venmo to help me out on the show, or you share the show online, Dick Morris hates it. I'm just saying. Judging from his face.